All right, so this is the overview for the magazine layout for the college portfolio piece. Now, InDesign is super tricky, and I'm going to try to break it down into several different pieces, but there's going to be definitely a lot of learning on your own, so be prepared to ask questions, and I can try to help you out as best I can from a remote distance. The key thing on this is you're going to be doing what's known as two spreads. A spread is, imagine opening a book. You've got two facing pages. They're open. Same kind of thing with a magazine. When you open up a magazine, you open up two pages. That's called a spread. You're going to be doing a total of two spreads, which is the equivalent of 4 pages. So with this, here's an example of a 4-page spread. So you've got the starting of the page here, the starting of the article, and it's continuing to another article. Another example. You have your starting of the page. You have what's known as threaded text. That's a big, long article that carries all the way through. You are not responsible for writing the article. You will be responsible for making sure that you give proper attribution for the article of where you've gotten it. But you can grab this from Wikipedia. You can grab it from another website. You can actually merge together several articles because they're not going to read the articles in order or check to see if you've eliminated certain things. And in some instances, the college actually is asking you to assume that you actually have an even longer article, that it goes to 4 or 5 spreads. So it doesn't have to end at the end of the second page. We can assume that the magazine carries on further. Here's another example. Opening spread and then the main article spread. Same kind of thing here. Opening spread, article continues on. Now they want the articles, to be relatively text heavy, but you can combine, photos and stuff as well. So here's another example. Kind of carries through. You've got page numbers and stuff at the bottom, although you can't see it because I think my screen is cutting it off. Another example where you've got long threaded text. You have what's known as a drop cap. That's this first letter that's there. It helps to bring your attention to where the article starts. You have this thing that's called a pull quote. Right now, this is just generic made-up text, so that's why this doesn't make any sense that's here. But that's a pull quote. You've got some images. You've got some captions that are underneath. You have your headers. So these are the subheadings here. Another example, big title for the article, starting of the actual text running through. Same kind of thing here. Same one here. So some of the things that you need to consider first is, what is your magazine topic going to be? So you want to figure out, based on the magazine cover that you made, that this should be an article that's inside of that magazine. And then where are you going to get your text and your article from? So you start looking around and trying to grab that. As you're grabbing that information, make sure you copy the website address of where you got it from so that we can do proper attribution later. And then since you've already done an analysis for your magazine cover, you can determine who is your audience. That is going to help you decide what fonts you want to use, what colors you want to use, and what you feel is appropriate for that audience. Something you design for like a heavy metal magazine would be totally different than something that you would use potentially for like a cooking magazine. And then where and what images are you going to use? I highly recommend using Unsplash. They have very large, nice images. You can also check Pixabay, but you need to make sure that whatever images you choose are ones that are able to be used. You want to make sure that they're either Creative Commons or that the copyright holder has allowed you to use those, and whether or not it's used with attribution or not. So you need to make sure you look into that. So what you need to include. You need to have at least 3 images. You'll probably have more. You need to have multiple copies of what is known as body copy. That's just the main text in the article. You're going to have a headline. That's on the first or second page, so it's on that opening spread. You're going to have one drop cap that starts at the very beginning of your article. You're going to have between 3 to 5 subheadings, and I'll show you examples in a minute. You'll have one pull quote. You'll have the folio, which is really just the page number and the magazine name. It's normally at the bottom of all of the pages of your magazine. You're going to have the byline. That's the credit for who wrote the article. So that's not going to be your name. That's actually going to be the name of the person that wrote the article, depending on where you got it from. And then we need to figure out where to include the attribution and credits for any images and text that you use. So here's an example of what the anatomy looks like. So here, this is what's known as a running head. You won't really use that. This is known as the byline. That's your main headline. Your article is going to look like this. This is only a single page, but this gives you the basic elements. This is a drop cap. These are your subheadings. This is a pull quote. This down here at the side, that's the byline. That's the credit line. You've got this, all of this text that's here is referred to as body copy. This area down here at the bottom, which the stupid thing keeps popping up, but this area down there where you see the page number, come on. The page number in the bottom left-hand corner and the name of the magazine, that's known as the folio. So those are the main pieces of your magazine as far as the vocabulary is concerned. Now, before you actually open up InDesign to do the layout for this, what I'd recommend is that you watch the college video intro, and I'll show you in a moment where those resources are at. The next thing to do is on paper, it doesn't have to be the design notebook because we had those at school, is try to figure out what your topic could possibly be. I'd recommend you may as well make it one of the topics that you put on the magazine cover, but if you didn't include a lot of different topics on there, that's fine. You can choose a different one. I would almost recommend first figure out where those images are, because if you've got your images, you can start to build your article around that. You also want to figure out what you are going to plan on doing for the article itself, so that might be another area to start. Now, obviously, I can't sign off on that, so you're just going to do that on your own. Then I recommend sketch out possible layouts for the magazine, or use Pinterest to start to find spreads that you find interesting. In fact, that's going to be part of one of the Choose Your Own Adventure. If you choose to do this, you can use, instead of doing one of the other Choose Your Own Adventures, you can use your progress that you make on your magazine as the assignment for the week, so you don't have to do both. So you're going to do just a basic layout. When doing thumbnails, I just use straight lines, little scribbly lines here to represent the body copy. Wherever my big title is going to go, I use a box with an X to represent the photo, so you can kind of structure the way you want your spread to look. Doing it on paper is so much easier to do than having to use InDesign. So start with it on paper just to kind of get some ideas out. Then watch the setup video. I'll post this setup video and make a link to it so that you can see the basic way that I start to create an InDesign document and how to set up columns and then how to thread text between them. Then you're going to make your Word document or a Google Doc and start to keep track of every image and article that you download, so that way we can give proper attribution or provide that to the college to show that we didn't violate copyright. Then start to grab all of your images, and I'll record another video on ways to find images and stuff, but you want to make sure keep a copy of the website address for those images and make sure you download the highest quality version of the image possible. Then grab your text. Do the same thing with attribution. Make sure you copy the website address of wherever you got that from. And then you'll finalize the layout, put the pictures in, start to do the rest of the text, and you'll end up exporting this out as a PDF. Don't worry about doing the export this week. I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking for this week is a screencast that shows me your progress of what you've made, addressing what images you may use, and explaining any problems or issues that you run into. Let me actually show you on the module here where to find more information on this. So right here in this week and I may move these around if it doesn't make sense to have it here, but I'm putting it right now into the week of 5/18 for College Magazine spread. Inside of this College Magazine spread, the video that you're watching right now is linked right here. I have the presentation, so if I went too fast on any of that, I have it listed here, so you can take a look at that. I have the college assignment sheet right here that explains kind of the basics. Ignore the points and stuff there. I'm not really worried about that. You can look here this will help you a lot. This is the playlist of all of the videos they've provided for how to start the magazine article, how to do the introductory spread, how to do the interior spread, how to do layers and set up what's known as master pages, how to do your folio and your drop cap, how to justify the text, how to use the spell checker, and then how to package it all together. So just by watching these, this will give you a tremendous leg up. Now you'll notice some of these are pretty long, so that's why I'm not really going to require a lot of stuff for you to turn in this week, because I'd rather have you look through and figure out what it is that you're going to make, start to gather your raw materials, and go from there. Now, the other pieces that are on here is I do have the rubric, so you can click on this. This has the PDF file that has the explanation of how this particular piece would be graded, and it explains all the details of everything that's going to be on there. It's a lot of stuff. But my thought is if you're able to create at least something that would get about a 60%, and I know that's not a passing one, that will get us much, much closer towards next semester when we submit the portfolio, so that I can actually show you how to go back in and make some little fine-tune adjustments without having everybody in the class at the same time with InDesign. It's very tricky to do, so I'm just throwing this out there as a way to get a jump start on it, give you a chance to manipulate it and work with it, potentially even over summer if you have access to InDesign. And I'm going to see what I can do to set myself up and make myself available to be able to help you through some of these other pieces. So this is showing examples of an A, a B, and a C work and where they knocked points off. Then, let me go back here. I hate it when it does this. It is a lot to absorb in the beginning. So my recommendation is definitely read through the assignment sheet and read through the rubric. Then watch at least the first video for the college, this magazine article introduction. He'll explain the process and what it is that we're looking for this particular layout. And then take a look at the video that I've recorded for this week's Choose Your Own Adventure for the magazine spread. As always, just ask questions. I'll do the best that I possibly can to help you. I highly recommend popping into the open class session on Tuesdays, because it's going to be much easier for me to explain stuff. And if there's enough people that are interested, I'll set up an afternoon session where I'll just lecture specifically on the magazine spread for those that are interested in doing the InDesign project.